Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. My name is Agnik Datta, and I am the part of the Citrix Ready technical marketing team managing the desktop ecosystem. I would be your host for today's webinar, where we have Liquidware Labs with us. Let me welcome to you all the Citrix Ready technical webinar series, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions to common problems faced by our customers. So along with me, I have Jason E. Smith, who is the product director at Liquidware Labs. So just to introduce on Citrix Ready is an end-to-end technology partner program that showcases and recommends third-party products, solutions, and services that demonstrate compatibility with Citrix products. Customers can quickly and easily find recommended solutions by Citrix in the Citrix Ready marketplace. If you're not aware of the Citrix Ready marketplace, just navigate to the link here, citrix.com/ready. And if you would like to be a partner and want to know more about the partner program details, you can navigate to the second link. We'll be sending over the slide deck, so that'll be easy. Just to give you a history, we launched in the year 2007, and currently we have over 1,000 plus technology partners, with over 27,000 product verifications and over 2 million online catalog page views. So yeah, so Jason, if you can move to the next slide, please.
All right, so thank you so much for having us today. We're Liquidware Labs. Liquidware Labs is a Citrix Ready Plus partner, and we have been since 2009. Our products are all verified for Citrix Ready, all the way through the latest version of Citrix. We were Solution Partner of the Year in 2011. We have many joint customers with Citrix, and we are pleased to be a part of the Citrix community. So there's challenges in any Windows environment for user management. So I want to talk about some of the problems that probably a lot of you are facing today for workspace environment management. And that's not just in a Citrix environment, but also any of the Windows environments. With managing users, of course, there's ongoing challenges that administrators face, integrators face across the disparate Windows environments today. You may not just have a Citrix environment, but a physical environment and other environments that the users need to play in as you onboard more users to a Citrix desktop. So ensuring that you have a consistent profile experience, and that could be cross OS or even cross Citrix delivery methods, is important. Centralizing policies, now the challenge there today is that you may have in a lot of organizations many ways. Maybe there's a scripted method of getting policies out, group policies, of course. You may have tools out there that do it. It's a little bit unorganized. So there's a better way to provide workspace environment management. We'll go over some of that today. To do it on a context-aware environment is another thing that a lot of customers are asking companies like us for. Application rights management, ensuring that users have the rights to use the applications that are in the base image, whether you want to restrict users for using certain things. And this transitions right into delivery challenges for applications. Of course, Citrix has long been experts delivering applications. The whole reason why there is such a great Citrix community today is that providing users the applications they need just in time. But now there's also ways to complement that within the Citrix ecosystem. And of course, Microsoft AppV has been a go-to solution to provide that on a virtualized basis. And we've always had published apps reliably from Citrix. But there's new methods that have just emerged, such as application layering, providing applications just in time that can complement some of these strategies and really streamline the management of your Citrix environment. Also, new techniques that can hide or cloak applications into the environment. And some of this has to do with application rights management, whether you're restricting applications or enabling them, whitelisting, blacklisting, and even hiding them from the user where they don't have access to it on a group or even a context-aware basis again. Lastly, providing a quality desktop for the user all comes down to what we'd like to call user experience monitoring. Getting more visibility in the environment, knowing your user experience, gaining more visibility, being able to troubleshoot those environments quickly, and to scale the infrastructure as needed as you add more Citrix users to your environment. So customers, administrators, integrators are all looking to solve a lot of these challenges today, in addition to what they already have access to from Citrix. And the Citrix ecosystem with Citrix Ready and Liquidware Labs as a partner, we provide answers to those sorts of challenges that are facing you today through our Liquidware Labs Essentials Workspace Management Suite, providing essential workspace management. Our user environment management, known as Profile Unity, delivers full-feature user environment management that solves a lot of those user management needs, all the way down to an application rights management capability. We provide one robust profile that will go across any type of Citrix session and also across any operating system, and that's a pretty big deal because you want a seamless user experience and also a set of policies that will follow them no matter where they go. In other words, decoupling the user session from the underlying Windows OS. In addition to that, Profile Unity has advanced features known as FlexApp layering. We can layer in applications into a persistent or non-persistent Windows environment, including all the Citrix environments, such as XenApp and XenDesktop, to deliver applications just in time. And this type of technology doesn't really replace anything like published applications, doesn't replace the need to use AppV, because sometimes you need a different type of application isolation, but it complements those type of application delivery methods to get you down to the goal of single base image management. And lastly, we provide visibility with our solution, Stratosphere. Stratosphere provides very in-depth user experience monitoring so you can know what your environment looks like, know the quality experience for the users. You can know at a glance whether they're having a good, fair, or poor user experience rating, and we can point to the smoking gun of what needs to be right-sized in the infrastructure to provide for a quality environment. All these solutions work across virtual desktops, cloud-based desktops, and physical desktops as well. And why that's important is because you can use these solutions to onboard more users to Citrix, XenApp, or XenDesktop if you run them in a physical environment. So it's a seamless transition for users. It solves a lot of those challenges I mentioned earlier today. We'll go into depth in those three pillars that I just outlined for workspace environment management, our essentials bundle. Just a couple slides on each, and I'm going to show a demonstration today. We'll also go into a time of Q&A. So Liquidware Labs Profile Unity delivering full-featured user environment management includes profile management again, central policy management that goes beyond the capabilities of something like Microsoft Group Policies, which is a great solution. Sometimes you need to go a little deeper and have something easier to use, something that's well documented, and to do things on an even more context-aware basis than you can do through matching up Active Directory groups alone. Advanced features such as privilege elevation and application rights management excel to give you the most well-rounded UEM solution in the market. This is just a quick screen capture of the GUI of the Profile Unity Management Console. Some of the features there include portability settings that give you a robust profile that will work across any type of Windows environment, cross OS, cross Citrix XenApp, XenDesktop, one profile per user, not one profile per machine. And of course, why that's important is because you can troubleshoot that profile, or you can provide policies for that user that will work on a context-aware basis across those. Other popular features include folder redirection to help provide access for user-authored data, and of course our FlexApp department-installed application feature being able to layer applications just in time. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. So what are some of the advantages of using Profile Unity with Citrix desktops? Obviously, this is probably not something new to most of the attendees of today's webinar, but I'd like to tell you some of the ways that we go beyond some of the solutions in the market. Sometimes you reach a point where a profile tool is maybe not capable of the enterprise use case that you're faced or some of the challenges, and that's the time to step up to a user environment management solution. I've already mentioned cross OS capabilities of Profile Unity, one profile per user. You can rapidly onboard users from physical environments, or also if you've tried another type of desktop delivery method from another vendor, maybe that project's failed and you want to switch those users over to XenApp and XenDesktop. It's a perfect time to allow Profile Unity to provide that seamless experience. From the first time a user logs off of Windows, they have a portable profile, and then they can log on to any other place in the domain that's played back at logon. We really have no profile corruption with Profile Unity, the way that you might experience with solutions that manage the profile for leveraging the ntuser.dat file. That's probably the most common way a profile gets corrupted, and we don't see that because we hive a version of our own profile. Very much looks like a roam profile, but it doesn't rely on any of the infrastructure required for roaming profiles. We provide all this on a context-aware settings, and I've mentioned that a couple of times. What we call that is our filters, not limited by Active Directory groups, but we can leverage them. So you can leverage an Active Directory group, or you can come up with your own context-aware rule. Maybe it's an IP address range. Maybe it's even a MAC address of a machine. But you can get very granular on a user basis to provide policy management, the way that a profile is controlled, and even assign a FlexApp application layer or a shortcut to the desktop or so forth. The centralized policy management is really neat because it provides continuity in most organizations who may have a group policy expert, but it's tough to see what others have done in that environment. So we very much document everything that's been done, so you can print out instant reports and see what's been done there from the central management console. Profile Unity runs with administrative privileges. This is a big difference when you look at other solutions in the market. That means the things that Profile Unity does for a user at logon, the policies it assigns, it does them at an admin level. So we can effectively invoke changes for HKLM registry keys, which is important because you can do things as an administrator automated through Profile Unity. Lock down a desktop, no problem with Profile Unity. Standard user can't undo those HKLM keys. We can also do application rights management, which is the next bullet here. It's related to our ability to run with admin privileges. We'll talk about on the next couple of slides. It can be integrated if you choose to use our application layering known as FlexApp. And it's a cost-effective Citrix Ready verified solution. If you've been in the industry long enough, you know there's enough UEM solutions out there available. But finding one that's cost-effective that doesn't blow your TCO out of the water for an ROI basis is a very important thing. You don't want your UEM project to become the focus of your virtualized desktop project, and Profile Unity never does that with customers. We can be stood up in a POC in under an hour, and even if you use our FlexApp layering, you can do that in under 2 hours with no additional infrastructure needed, no dedicated servers in the environment, and that's very important, because you can control the cost while having a robust user environment management. A little bit about our application layering known as FlexApp, because you can use as much or as little Profile Unity as you wish, including FlexApp. This is just an example here, and we'll do a quick demo at the end of today's presentation to recap this. But we have a FlexApp packaging console where you would package up the items, known as a screenshot here, the FlexApp packaging console on a non-persistent machine. Then you can assign FlexApps even on a per user basis, even complex apps that have drivers and services. This is a big advantage because sometimes you're limited with some of the solutions in the market on a machine level basis for complex apps. For complex apps, we have no problem starting those on a per user basis, so you can get very granular with the way you assign them. This is just a glance of that. And lastly, you see that they're played back to the desktop. Again, you'll see this in the demonstration today as we go a little deeper. And the one thing we'll demo out of everything we talk about today is the Profile Unity's FlexApp application layering. So what are some of the advantages of FlexApp? First off, you get that cross-OS, physical, XenApp, XenDesktop, compatibility even across OS from Windows 7 and forward. So your applications can now go with your users. They're assigned at user logon. And I'll get into a little bit deeper on how FlexApp works in just a moment. Applications can be assigned, as I mentioned, per user. All the way down to per user, you can leverage your Active Directory groups or any of our 300 plus filter combinations. Applications are delivered just in time with a pair of file system drivers that map up basically parts of the file system, parts of the registry that make that application work, and they point to a VHD or a VMDK on the network where the application binaries are actually stored. Now, it actually complements Microsoft AppV and other application virtualization. And by that, I mean it doesn't provide any isolation of the app itself. Those types of technologies isolate the app, whereas FlexApp looks very native to the OS environment. You'll see in a moment in the demonstration how the files and folders themselves are actually right there in the OS environment. With the file system drivers that we have, we basically are inserting them just in time into the OS environment, and we can make them disappear as well because they actually are housed on a VHD or VMDK. The solution is compatible with Citrix UPM, so if you don't want to leverage our Profile Unity UEM solution, you can actually use or license only our FlexApp solution. So it is available with standalone licensing starting next month. So in Profile Unity, the only solutions, if you leverage it that way, the only features that would work would be FlexApp department installed applications and the granular ability to assign applications. So we can also work with other third-party UEM vendors. So you don't have to think about Profile Unity as being, you know, I've got to rip and replace everything else. We play quite nicely with other UEM vendors in the market. It's an integrated piece of Profile Unity, though, so it flows seamlessly. If you need to make any application management tweaks in the registry or things like that, the registry system's there with our UEM solution, Profile Unity, and you can make those and deliver those applications. Sometimes maybe a first run dialog box needs to be suppressed in something you just packaged. So making it part of our UEM solution. It's a very smart thing, we believe, in the market because the two really are intertwined: user environment management and application layering. And like I said, you could choose to use some of the other third-party UEM solutions in the market if you wish as well. And again, it's a cost-effective third-party Citrix Ready verified solution. That last pillar we talked about today is providing additional visibility in your environment. Stratosphere UX, user experience, provides really industry-leading in-guest metrics that go beyond any type of data that you can get from most vendors in the market that provide visibility. It can complement some of the things that Citrix Director does, but it can go deeper and probably broader to give you more of a view of not only what is happening on that desktop, applications in use, for example, total applications that exist, the IOPS workload for a particular user or application, things that you really need to know when you move to a VDI or virtual environment. It monitors all other points that are integral into a virtual desktop deployment method, and even a shared hosted environment, things that you really can't see because you virtualize the environment. Stratosphere does a really great job of aggregating those metrics and giving you a good, fair, or poor user experience rating per user. So then you can drill down deep, just like in this report we have in front of us. So you can see what the smoking gun might be in your user monitoring our performance, what's causing the fall down. So you can right-size that environment or perhaps even grow and scale that environment by adding additional storage, network performance, hardware that can help out there, or anything else that could right-size that environment and make it scalable moving forward. So some of the attributes that make Stratosphere UX advantageous to the Citrix customers, Citrix integrators, is the fact that we also support physical and virtual workloads, giving you a single pane of glass. Stratosphere also has another component known as our fitness reports, Stratosphere Fit Reports, which can help ready you for a VDI project like Zen Desktop, or to move to a shared hosted environment like Zen App. It gives you good, fair, or poor user and machines that are ready to make that move. So it can give you a starting point and give you decision support for moving to a virtualized desktop project. With Stratosphere UX, you can quantify and trend user experience for all machines at all the time. So it's not, you can not just capturing the snapshot, but you can quantify things over time and then aggregate those into reports that are automated and sent back to you as the administrator. It can facilitate quick root cause analysis and troubleshooting to help you easily diagnose things in the environment so you know what goes bump in the night. You know where you can identify things that are actually causing weak points in your delivery of your desktops. Most of the time that's not going to be software based. A lot of times that's hardware based, so you can point to that and you can right size your environment to grow and scale it. Stratosphere provides visibility into network protocols, integral ones like ICA and the other protocols that are necessary for virtual networks. It also has a powerful API to help you import user-centric data into other platforms, and we're working with other players in the market like Nutanix and others, so you can do custom reports and you can right size those environments, know what the overall user experience rating is, again, so you can have a quality user experience. You can baseline also from your legacy environment, or if you're doing a bake-off, or if you were doing a move from another virtualized environment to a Citrix environment, so you can know indeed that Citrix is the premier desktop and that's the quality experience that it delivered to again give you decision support for a VDI project. What we're going to do now is we're going to do an application layering demo today, and we're also going to take questions in just a bit. And I'd like to thank everyone again for joining us. So stick with us. We're going to have this Q&A session in a moment. Keep in mind my audio is a little bit one way only, so I'm relying on our panelists to feed me information at any given time so we don't talk over each other into the session. As I flip over to today's demo, I'm going to show you how our FlexApp application layering solution works. This is our Profile Unity Central Management Console. I need to maximize this window a little bit. And in here you have everything that controls user environment management for any type of Windows environment. So portability settings gives you a robust profile to work across any of those environments. And our FlexApp DIA is what we're going to focus on in this demonstration today, and the way it works with our filter management. But in here, when we look into our FlexApp DIA solution, you'll see that some packages have already been placed into here, and then we can apply a context-aware filter to make those ring true for users. So we've got a few built in here, one all the way for accounting department, another one for Jason in the development group. So we can assign things on a very context-aware basis all the way down to an individual user. And again, we can do that for even complex applications. But it works hand in hand, as I mentioned earlier, with our packaging console. It's quite simple to use, really. Our packaging console would run on a non-persistent VM that you could snapshot back, keep it clean. If you packaged any applications before, you know that's sort of the best practices in the industry. And it talks to our management console through a port identified there, web-based console. So it knows which packages have been in play or which packages have been packaged. We're going to create a new package today, and we're going to create a package of the popular Thunderbird email application. I'm just going to point to the MSI or executable for Thunderbird that I've downloaded previously. So I navigate over to that, you'll see that it's going to be as simple as installing the executable, and it will actually install to this packaging console. And by the way, if you've looked at other layering solutions, the concepts are generally about the same, so we're given an educational demonstration today as well. So right here we're going to choose a location for our VHD. You'll note we can do VHDs, we can also do VMDKs with the solution. So we choose a location for the VHD. We're going to rely on a network attached storage probably that's going to be very stable in this environment, one that's going to be accessible by the user. And what's happening now is that Thunderbird's going to be launched, and the binaries that would usually go into the OS itself, into the native place of the OS, are going to be captured and they're going to be placed on that VHD that we chose. So it's just very much a next, and soon finish installing Thunderbird. But keep in mind that the binaries are not actually being installed into this packaging console. They're automatically being captured, being saved off to a separate VHD. And that VHD is going to be a one-to-many VHD that's going to be able to be assigned to a group of users. You see Thunderbird actually popped up on the desktop. Just to verify here, also we click to go ahead and launch it at exit, and it's even running on the packaging console. Just ensuring that once you see that smoothly done, you can rest assured that that has been packaged appropriately. Again, we have a very high success rate with our FlexApp application layering. It's because it looks very native to the OS. We've completed the package, unmounted the VHD, and now we're ready. You see it's in the list here. And because we've been speaking to the central Profile Unity Management Console, we'll go back over there through that open port. Just need to refresh here in my switchover the VM where I'm demoing, but it'll come up here in a moment. And through that open port, the packages that we have available will automatically come into the management console, and then we can assign them very quickly. Here we go. And now we'll open up FlexApp DIA again, and we'll see that Thunderbird's automatically in here. To assign it, simple drag and drop. Those context-aware filters I talked about earlier, now you could assign it to a very specific group within your Windows infrastructure. But we're going to leave it with no filter applied to everyone in this environment that gets Profile Unity. And Profile Unity is decoupled from the management console. What we're doing right here is we're going to save the latest configuration out to the NetLogon file share. This is not a hard requirement, but it is a place that we host our client in our configuration file that keeps you with no single point of failure and highly available. The NetLogon file share is a read-only authenticated place that keeps us HA because you're scaled accordingly for tens of thousands of users even. So now we're going to log in to the end user experience. What's that application look like when the end user logs in? That filter rings true, and his or her applications are assigned to that desktop. So Profile Unity runs at logon, and this splash screen can actually be suppressed. So if you don't want users to see that, that's no problem. We actually have a way to suppress that, but it runs in probably less than 15 seconds. It's a good way of knowing that your Windows experience is being customized and your profiles are coming in. We're done running, and the profile is set up here. And as soon as the user logs into the desktop, you'll see that the applications assigned to that user are indeed on that desktop. So same ones that were in that list. Foxit Reader, now that's a neat one because it actually has a printer driver, which is hard to isolate for AppV. We also have Opera in there, FileZilla, and let's go ahead and open up Mozilla just to show you that it works as a native application. Now these applications are being brought in by a pair of file system drivers again that are pointing to that VHD. And you'll see how clean it keeps the operating system here in just a moment. Just confirming to you and showing you that the application works as native. Closing out of that. We're going to show you a bonus today also into this OS as we confirm a couple of these other applications are open. But now let's look. I got this trick. You may have seen it in the window. We've got full-blown Microsoft Office has been layered into this environment as well. We're going to open up Microsoft Word, and why that's challenging is because it's difficult to isolate that one as well. A lot of Office has parts that need to speak to each other. So you can either go through and try to open the bubble up or not have a bubble at all, and that's the way you get with FlexApp application layering. And you'll see that Microsoft's not really installed here, works as native. And just to go to the final mile here in a moment, we're going to show you how clean we can leave this operating system environment if you were to turn these applications off as well. And we'll leave this open on the desktop. And I'll go to the file system. Now you've heard me talk about these file system drivers that bring in the applications just in time to make them work. Let's go looking for some native files that they should have created if they were native. Microsoft Office actually looks like it's in there. Firefox, Mozilla Thunderbird actually looks like it's in there. So you just double check here. You see there's no shortcuts or anything else. The OS actually thinks it's in there, and that's why we have a very high degree of compatibility. But let's go ahead and intentionally do something here to discontinue the use of FlexApp, which is basically going to give you a really fast way of seeing that applications are totally backed out when the FlexApp service and the file system drivers are not running. So we're going to stop the file system drivers by stopping the service. And when we do this, the applications disappear because they never were on this desktop to begin with. FlexApp was doing all that magic. Microsoft Office files, none of that's in the operating system anymore. It's left as clean. And that's why this version can also support persistent desktops as well. So really that was a close look today at a demonstration of our FlexApp application layering technology. And we'll flip back over here and tell you some of the things available before we take some of our questions. But some of the next steps that you can take in this to learn more about us is that you already know we're a Citrix Ready partner today. We're verified through the latest versions of Citrix. all the supported versions of Citrix Desktop basically is where we're verified for all of our products. We have some solution briefs that can tell you more out there. They're downloadable in the Citrix Ready catalog area. Just go right out there and they're hosted out there. You can also see those on our website. Another thing that you can do is you can get hands-on with the solutions that I showed you today. Now the latest version of FlexApp I showed you is the beta version because we've updated the way FlexApp works. But you can go to our website and you can download even the beta version. We put it on our website last week. So we're doing an open beta there. There's the GA version as well. But if you want to see those file system drivers and all that magic happen, grab that beta version so you can test it in any type of environment there. And also, if you want 25 users free, look at that URL there, and then just look. If you don't copy this URL down, what you want to do is you want to look around our website, and you'll see a link where you can actually get a free license for 25 full-fledged users for most organizations. We do have a prerequisite in there that we ask that you have a certain size overall environment. So there's some possible upside for us, obviously. But for most people on today's WebEx, you can request a 25-user free license. And as always, that Citrix Ready Marketplace is there as a resource for you to be able to learn more about Liquidware Labs. So again, keeping in mind that my audio is one way only today. Sangji, I just want to ask you if you want to close things up and open up the Q&A for today. And so at this point, Sagnik, I'll let you talk, and then I'll look for the questions to come in into either the chat window or the question area. That's because I can't hear you today, so this should work great. Thanks. Hand it over to you.
Hey, thanks so much, Jason. And that was a presentation, wonderful presentation and demo in spite of the audio difficulties. So I will quickly move to the question and answer session. We have lots of questions
So
today.
I'll take a look at the question area, and you can feed me any into the chat window as well. I see that there's some coming in already. So please stay on with us, and you'll learn more as we go through some of these questions today.
Mm-hmm.
Are the 25 users that were given for any length of time? Actually, they're perpetual licenses. As I said, I believe we have a prerequisite on our website that we ask that you have a couple hundred user or more user environments, so there's a possible upside for us, so we can follow up and see if you're happy and see if there's anything for us. But no, it's full-fledged licenses that we're making it available for, perpetual use licenses, and we even will support them for you, of course, to get up and running. Additional support options are available. There's a question that says, will your next beta allow for you to inject and remove applications live, or do they require the user to log in and log out? So it's a great question. So we can actually do just-in-time, in-session applications as well. We have trigger points, and you can push those out. Today we do that on a VMDK method, and we'll be supporting VMDKs with Citrix in this release. Already supported in the beta. That was supported in beta 2 for Citrix. And we'll also be supporting it eventually for VHDs, and you can set up a trigger point. We didn't talk about those today, but you can inject them during the user session. Now there's a prerequisite you want to think about though. You don't want to change applications that may be in use at any time. But yes, you can inject new applications would be the practice there if you wish to make them appear into the desktop based on either a trigger point checking for those actions or to be able to assign them during the user session. For more information about how to do that, it's covered in our documentation. Looking at other questions that are coming in. Is there a limit to the number of app layers that can be applied? And can you create multiple packages that are codependent? So the limit is there's a 50-something. It's actually I think it's a 50-something application layer limit. But we can do on a VHD basis, we can do a virtually unlimited number. But for VMDKs, it is limited. And that tops out most of the competitors out in the market. But you can also put multiple applications onto a layer. So like and kind applications can be stacked up into a layer of a VHD, and our VMDK method is called Flex Disk. How would updates work for Office 2013? So if you want to change a package at any time, you can change a package or you can extend it. if that supports, so there's two methods I'll answer. There's a way to extend a package, that is to open it back up and use the application installer, so you can add attributes to Office. But you can also, if you needed to update it altogether, you could rebuild a new version of Office, given that maybe a new service pack has come out, so you could do that as well. And you could assign that to the same group, and the next time that they log on, they'll get the next version of Office. So it's a pretty straightforward. It's also covered in our Flex app documentation. There are other questions coming in. Do we support ADMX templates? We do have planned support coming very quickly. It's planned for this fall to have an ADMX import utility, so you can take advantage of all your ADMX templates that are out there, not have to redo all your policies. So that is supported in the fall. And we'll do that also on an admin basis. Some users out there in the market only cover the user basis, but we'll also import ADMX admin templates. Just reading through some of these other questions. How can we quantify a user experience? So asking questions about Stratosphere in this case. These can be quantified. They're quantified with Stratosphere. We, given our experience in the field going back to 2009 and the reports that we've built, have built these with the input of integrators in the field, so we know what a good, fair, poor desktop should look like as a rule. However, you can customize all those reports and you can change them, so you have the parameters and the baselines that you can set for what you think are good known user experience ratings. Most of our customers tend to use the default values, but they can very much be customized. More questions are coming in, so thanks for keeping them coming, and I'll keep reading them here. Can Stratosphere monitor application launch time? Yes, indeed. So that's those metrics are captured, and you can know application launch time, IOPS per workload, and a lot more. How much packaging time would you estimate to spend in terms of size or megabytes of files, application types, etc.? Are there standards for packaging and limitations? What we found is we have a better than 80% success rate. Internally, we kick around numbers as high as 90, and that was even with our previous version, which wasn't built on the file system driver. So we have a very high success rate. Your packaging times are going to be dependent on several factors for an application. For instance, I packaged up Office very quickly in under 20 minutes, but I was doing it in an SSD environment, so it was a machine running really fast. If you can, basically it's the same amount of time it takes to install that package itself, with a couple of additional seconds there to tell us what VHD size that you want to max out at and things like that. Dynamically expandable, but just to fill out. You saw how it was packaged today, so it's really just a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, in addition to the time to actually install that package itself. So it's very quick. You know, some of the solutions on the market, you may have to hire a full-time expert for application virtualization or things that require sequencers or expert knowledge. But as you see, it's as easy as installing an application. All right, here's a great one. Tell me more about your registry management. In Profile Unity, you can use the registry management for anything that you can think of that you could automatically, go over to your registry and manually do. So instead of using scripting or something like that to push out a new registry key, with Profile Unity, you can merge, exclude, or replace registry keys. I packaged up Office and I didn't take into account, for example, the first run dialog boxes. And when I did that, I was like, well, I need to go back and repackage. But then I remembered Profile Unity can actually suppress that if I know the registry key. I quickly traced down the registry key, inserted that into the configuration for the user, and when the user logged on, Profile Unity automatically fixed that registry key. So, voila, first run dialog box is gone. Another use case for why UEM and application layering work great together. Is the user personalization stored in a database or not? The answer is not. Our user personalization is always in native Microsoft Windows formats, stored in the native location of Windows. And as such, you are free to migrate off of Profile Unity at any time. And we say that with confidence, because rarely would we ever have a customer decide to do that. But in the case of some products in the market, they get stored in a SQL database or something of that sort, and it's difficult to get that data out of it. Now, I know some of the players in the market, we actually just migrated a user off of a competing product last week that's known to put settings into a big database. And they have a new utility for that product, for example, that can play them back to the native place in Windows. So we were able to have the customer play that back to the native place in Windows. In other words, it was like a local profile, and Profile Unity was running in tandem. And as soon as the user logged off, we captured that profile. So it's easy to get out if you're on a solution that has locked you in to a database. There are methods to get you out of that. I'm going to write a blog about that one without naming too many names, but with Profile Unity, you're never in a data jail with your user profile information. User data that users create, such as my documents they'd store there and other places, go to best practice locations, and we handle those with folder redirection, as is the best practices in the environment. Will this PowerPoint and the recorded be available? Yes, it will be. So we recorded this today, and we will place it at least on the Liquidware website, and if we can do as much, we'll also put it in Citrix Ready catalog. So I think this is a perfect place for me to transition and let Sagnik pick up today and close us out. I'd like to thank everyone for my part for joining. I'd like to thank the Citrix Ready team.
Yes, thanks, Jason. There are some more questions, but yes, we are limited with the time bounds. We'll definitely get back to you, and Jason will also get back to you privately, answering all the questions via email. Also, like I mentioned, as Jason mentioned as well, we'll be sending out the recording and the presentation within a day or two on your registered email ID. Well, with that said, we are about to end today's webinar. I want to take a moment to thank our speaker, Jason from Liquidware, for making this fantastic presentation and sharing his knowledge with us. So at last and not the least, I want to thank each one of you for making it to our webinar today in the Citrix Ready Technical Webinar Series, and this concludes our broadcast. Thank you.